Okay, hi everybody. My name is Bella Hasari, and I'm a third-year marketing student here at LMU. I chose to do my final project on Blockbuster Video, which is a movie rental company that went bankrupt a few years back. I chose to research this company in particular for my project because I remember going to Blockbuster with my dad as a young kid, and then I remember where the store used to be in my hometown, but it kind of just disappeared one day. And I was kind of just curious about it, and I felt like this project was a good opportunity to find out what really happened and do a deep dive on Blockbuster Video. So here we go. We're going to start off with a little background on Blockbuster. So their little slogan was "Be kind, rewind," because you would return your VHS tape to the store and then it'd get rented to somebody else. So the first Blockbuster opened in Dallas, Texas in October of 1985. It was a video rental store. So we have a little VHS tape stack on the bottom right corner. It was founded by David Cook, who previously was in the computer software industry as well as the gas and oil industry in Texas. So that will play a role in this later. His wife, Sandy Cook, suggested that they start a new business venture in the video rental business because the industry really hadn't been tapped into yet. There were a few mom and pop shops that had very few options. They kind of just had a bunch of old popular movies to rent, and to buy a tape was very expensive. It would run a family about $70 to rent a video. So this just seemed like a good opportunity. They began their first store with about 8,000 tapes, and instead of keeping tapes behind the counter, making it difficult for a customer to find what they were looking for quickly, like with other stores, he computerized the system and displayed tapes around the store, kind of like a library, so customers could find what they wanted and then go up to the counter to check out. Blockbuster grew very, very quickly. Their first store was a huge success, and then 2 years after opening, David Cook sold part of their company to a big group of investors. One of the big investors was Wayne Huizenga, who was the founder of Waste Management, and then another two of the investors were other former higher-ups at Waste Management. So within a year of taking the outside investors, Cook left the company and Huizenga assumed control. And then by 1988, just 3 years after opening, Blockbuster was America's leading video chain with over 400 stores. So this was a really big, really fast expansion for the brand. And then by 1990, Blockbuster had launched its 1,000th store. So they just grew very quickly. They had also launched overseas stores at that point. And then by 1994, Blockbuster was acquired by Viacom, which was a media company that owned brands like MTV and Nickelodeon. Here we go. So this is where the downfall starts, the competition. In the mid-1990s, DVDs made their debut, which were digital video discs. They were a lot smaller and thinner, obviously, than a VHS tape. So in 1997, Netflix was founded, which was an online DVD rental service. They could just ship these thin DVDs in the mail, and then people could return them. They were a lot easier, more convenient to do so. At the same time, Amazon also launched an online DVD store. And cable companies were coming out with pay-per-view options and on-demand movie services, which gave consumers like basically instant access to movies without having to leave their homes, go to a Blockbuster store, rent their movie, or go to a retail store, buy one, and then have to go back and return it if it was at a Blockbuster. At one point, Blockbuster signed a deal with DirecTV to distribute satellite systems through their Blockbuster stores because so many customers were opting for pay-per-view options and on-demand options. So that was kind of their first attempt to change things. And another attempt to be with the times, Blockbuster split with Viacom in 2004 to launch their own online DVD rental service. But they were just a few steps too late to the game, and 6 years later, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. By 2014, the last of their company stores closed, and remaining today, there's only one independently owned Blockbuster. It's actually in Bend, Oregon, and it has been converted to an Airbnb. So it's an Airbnb, and then it's also serving as a nostalgic tourist attraction for a lot of people because you still can go in and rent videos. Next slide. So, lack of strategy wise, there was a major failure to see how technology was becoming more appealing and convenient for consumers and following consumers' usage patterns. Blockbuster knew very well how big of a competitor Netflix was going to be from the get-go, but they weren't trying to do what Netflix was doing initially by selling DVDs via online platforms. And then by the time that they tried, they were just too far behind. Oops. What is happening? In the year 2000, Blockbuster had the opportunity to purchase Netflix for only $50 million, but they decided against it. This later deems itself a very poor business decision, as Blockbuster is now bankrupt and Netflix is worth over $150 billion. Okay, so what else went wrong? The other key factors associated basically with the downfall of Blockbuster. One of the biggest issues that Blockbuster faced were some major lawsuits. They were regarding their no late fee policy, which was made possible by very deceitful advertising. Basically, Netflix and Redbox proved that the market was ready for video rental options that were fast and convenient, and most importantly, didn't have late fees, which was the main reason that Netflix's founder began that venture. Blockbuster knew that they needed to end their late fees to keep up with competition, so they came out with advertising that stated that they were getting rid of late fees altogether, and they estimated that the company was going to lose about $200 million a year in revenue just from late fees. However, it ended up costing them an additional $630,000 to settle litigation files because while the new program eliminated daily late charges, consumers were now charged if they hadn't returned the video or the DVD within 7 days, but that wasn't really vocalized. So after those 7 days, they weren't just charged the late fee, they were charged the entire selling price for the DVD. So 47 states filed suit against Blockbuster for their false advertising in the matter. They also struggled a great deal with loss of income from extending viewing fees to consumers, and also suffered from a failed merger with their competitor, the Hollywood Entertainment Corporation. Blockbuster also was suffering from constant turnover in CEOs, which obviously couldn't have had a positive effect on the company because nobody was ever with the company long enough to be thinking about the future and thinking about what their competition was doing. Blockbuster went through a new CEO about every couple years or so, so leadership is just never stable. Lastly, for a while, the company's biggest revenue source, my apologies, was the 28% franchising fee that they received when someone opened a Blockbuster. So it was just a one-time payment, and their money wasn't managed well in general, so they were just really starting to struggle at that point. So let's recap what Blockbuster could have done differently. What Blockbuster could have done differently. So within their 30-year time span of the company's life, Blockbuster grew to a $5 billion company and then went bankrupt. They were founded in 1985. They grew to 400 stores very quickly by 1988. And then by 1994, they were acquired by Viacom. And that was just in time for Netflix to launch and Amazon to launch in 1997. In 2000, they turned down the opportunity to purchase Netflix and that video rental online platform. And then Netflix deemed itself to be a big $150 billion mistake. And then the company ended up going bankrupt in 2014. Okay, let's talk about what they could have done differently. Besides the obvious of purchasing Netflix when the opportunity presented itself, Blockbuster really missed the mark on plenty of opportunities to grow with technology rather than, for lack of a better term, go extinct. they chose to be stubborn and hold on to the fact that they previously had a monopoly on the video rental business and just chose not to pursue anything fast enough after that. Blockbuster waited almost 6 full years to launch an online rental platform after Netflix launched. So this obviously gave Netflix enough time to conquer the market and leave no room for competition. They essentially gained the monopoly on the video rental platform that Blockbuster used to have. This image here on the right is actually what happens if you go to blockbusteronline.com now. It kind of just stays on this page. It's extinct. In conclusion, as Blockbuster was created on the basis of convenience to their customers, you would have thought that they would have jumped at the opportunity to pivot and provide their consumers with a faster and more convenient way to view videos rather than having to travel to rent videos from stores and then travel back to return them. But instead, their multi-billion-dollar business is no longer. So here are my sources that I used for my project, and that is all. Thank you so much.